The Accidental Genius, the story of Timothy Dexter. He was uneducated, unpolished, uninvited to the social circles of the smart and successful. And yet, Timothy Dexter became one of the richest men in New England, not because of what he knew, but perhaps because of what he didn't. Today, you're going to hear the story of a man whose bad ideas became brilliant, whose foolishness became fortune, and whose very existence seemed like a joke that the world kept paying him to repeat. Yes, my friends, you're about to hear one of the strangest stories of wealth in American history. Timothy Dexter was born in 1747 in Malden, Massachusetts. No schooling, no pedigree. By all accounts, a simple boy from a working family. At 8, he quit school. At 16, he was apprenticing with a tanner, scraping hides and smelling of leather. Now, you wouldn't have pegged him for greatness. You probably wouldn't have pegged him for literacy either. But what Dexter lacked in formal education, he made up for in, well, boldness. And when the American Revolution shook the colonies, Dexter saw a gamble most others missed. While smarter men scoffed, he bought up continental currency, the paper money that was fast becoming worthless. Fool's money, they called it. But when the war ended, and the US government decided to honor those bills, Timothy Dexter, the boy who couldn't spell, was suddenly a very wealthy man. Now rich, Dexter did what any underqualified nouveau riche would do. He pretended to be more than he was. He bought a mansion, built statues of great thinkers on the lawn. He crowned himself Lord Timothy Dexter, though no one had bestowed such a title. And he made enemies of nearly every respectable businessman in Newburyport. Some of them, irritated by his good fortune, decided to teach him a lesson. They gave him bad business advice, deliberately. Why don't you try exporting bed warmers to the Caribbean? Now, a bed warmer, for the record, is a metal pan filled with coals, used to warm cold New England beds, and the Caribbean doesn't have a lot of cold beds. It should have been a disaster. But when Dexter's shipment arrived, the locals bought them all, not for their beds, but for scooping molasses in sugar factories. And Timothy Dexter made a profit. Still not convinced he was just lucky, they told him, why not ship coal to Newcastle, a town in England known for its coal mines? It was the 18th century equivalent of selling ice in Alaska. So Dexter did. And as fate would have it, when his shipment arrived, the miners were on strike. They bought all his coal. And strangely, Timothy Dexter profited again. By now, his enemies were out of bad ideas. So Dexter made up his own. He shipped cats to the Caribbean to solve a rat problem. Again, a surprising success. He sent gloves to Polynesia, where a passing trader brought them to colder markets. Success again. He shipped Bibles to the East Indies. Missionaries needed them. Every weird idea, somehow, worked. Now, flush with success and forever misunderstood, Dexter decided to write a book. He called it A Pickle for the Knowing Ones. It had no punctuation, random capitalization, spelling so bad you'd think a typewriter exploded. Critics laughed. But the public? They bought it. So Dexter printed a second edition, with a special page full of punctuation marks at the end, so readers could sprinkle them in as needed. He filled his front lawn with dozens of wooden statues, including one of himself, labeled the greatest philosopher in the Western world. At one point, he even faked his own death, just to see how people would react. When his wife didn't cry enough at the funeral, he allegedly caned her. Yes, that happened. And still, the man remained wealthy, famous, and untouchable. So how do you explain it? Was he a genius in disguise? Or the luckiest man to ever misread a market? Maybe he saw something others didn't. Or maybe he just wasn't afraid to try, even if it seemed ridiculous. Whatever the case, when Timothy Dexter died in 1806, he left behind a fortune, not built on brilliance, but on boldness, not from calculation, but from conviction, and perhaps a little divine irony. So the next time someone tells you your idea is too strange, too late, or too dumb to work. Just remember the man who sent bed warmers to the tropics and sold coal to a coal town and made a fortune. Because sometimes the world isn't run by the smartest, and success may come in strange ways. Success need not be the product of genius, but is more often achieved by those who run against prevailing beliefs. And now you know, one of the strangest stories of wealth in America's history.